जहां विश्वास है वहां विश्वनाथ है. Simple. So powerful. You can start at 20 and be worth a crazy amount of money at 30 with just that mindset.
So anything which takes long is good, which is what I have figured out.
Joe Rogan got lucky. Was he was doing this well before anybody even knew what a podcast was. And he was talking topics that mattered to him, that he thought were worth talking about.
There's this pattern which I have recognized, that everything that takes long ends up being good. Let's say a relationship built over a long period of time is very good. Business or a startup which takes a long time to grow, but eventually it becomes stable and large, right? Opposite to what startups, which get burnt, explode and then just come down, right? So long term, this is good. The podcasts which we listen, in comparison to videos which we look for, let's say 10 minutes, to watch a 2 or 3 hour podcast, gives you a very long perspective, right? So anything which takes long is good, which is what I have figured out. And coming back to the point where you said sooner you realize that everything is its own. So about in my first year, I did an internship in a fintech company in Bangalore, right? I was a remote engineer. It was very fancy that I was going to only first attempt, the first earning of it. And what my job was to go to each and every retail store near my college and do market research. At the end of those period, I earned about 15K. And when it got credited, I was like, oh. The happiness which I thought I just didn't feel it. So then, also me and Rob doing this podcast, right? When we generate a certain amount of revenue or we get, we're like, okay. The enjoyment is in, okay, traveling to Bangalore or Chennai, wherever it is, meeting new people, setting up this and getting to interact, learning new things. I think feeling is there, but should we just look at it from the journey perspective without looking to the results?
No, you have to be prudent also, right? We all need to survive. The definition of financial survivability is up to each person. So I have this conversation with my friends on a regular basis. If you had 0 loans, 0 monthly commitments. So some people have loans as commitments, some people have monthly commitments, made, blah, blah. How much do you need to survive? And I ask people at varying income levels. The wealthiest always say the lowest one. Because all they say is, I need 2 garments or 4 garments, 4 pairs of undergarments, 1 pair of sandals. My phone has to watch. I don't need to eat out. I eat at home, I eat regular food. So that will come to 25,000-30,000 rupees. The people who are lesser and lesser wealthy will say 2 lakh, 3 lakh, 4 lakh. The wealthiest always give the lowest amount. I've noticed that. Right? Look at the example that I give people in terms of just long term. Look at the story of Joe Rogan. My friend was listening to his podcast in 2012. Okay, he was saying, this guy who's talking out in the world stuff, you should listen to it. And I actually went and listened to Joe Rogan in 2012 and 13. And he literally had like 100 viewers for each podcast. But he was talking cutting edge, deep stuff even then. He was not doing it for money. It was very clear he was not doing it for money. He was just bringing people in on a forum and talking deep stuff. When Spotify gave him $100 million contract, is when everybody said, well, Joe Rogan got lucky. was he was doing this well before anybody even knew what a podcast was. And he was talking topics that mattered to him, that he thought were worth talking about. Here's a guy who actually thought serious long term. I'm going to do what I like. I'm going to keep that focus going on and on. At some point, it became the means to communicate. Everybody has a podcast now. But what is the gold standard of podcasts? Guess what? Joe Rogan is definitely one of them. Whether the topic is controversial, if guests are controversial, secondly. But you cannot say podcast without saying Joe Rogan. You can say that very clearly. He talked about UFC as a sport when there was nobody talking about it. Then Dana White brought him in because he was talking so much about it without having any financial stake in it. He was not selling it. He said, I believe in this sport. He said, can you be a commentator? He eventually got a stake. It's the rights as well. So when Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger talked about buying good companies and sitting, even today, nobody talks that kind of waiting. Are you willing to wait 10 years for that stock to hit 10x? Then don't even wait 10 days. Nobody wants. So if your mindset is long-term focused, you've already beaten up 80 to 90% of the competition. You are going to get a lot of people who will come and tell you, well, he bought this property 3 years ago, it is quadruple. He bought that stock 1 year ago, 1 year it went up 10x. Distractions are going to be omnipresent. We talked about that deaf frog in our first episode. You have to be deaf to another, okay? If you have figured this is your path, if you have figured that you are disciplined enough to stick to the path, guess what? Success is inevitable. It's long term. When you learn to think in decades, you've already built an edge over everything else. How much was Amazon ridiculed for having or no? You're saying we're growing.
Yeah, they were growing in Indian market, but they were not profitable for 20 years. So everyone mocked Jeff Bezos, but after 20 years, the profit which Amazon earned was massive.
Yeah, and they only have to increase their delivery by 0.5%, and they are already profitable. So he has so many metrics that he can turn on. When they got into the server business, they were doing it because they wanted to corner the market. They had to increase their price point by like 4%, and they were profitable by 50% immediately. That kind of an edge only happens when you think long term. I'm catering now, I'm catering to something now, I'm catering to something now. When you think it short term, when you think 5, 6, 7, 10 years ahead, you've already beaten out most people's problem. And in many cases, in the startup world, there are investors who will tell you, sorry, you have to think because they're looking for an exit. I've met startup founders who have not taken investing dollars because they don't agree with venture capital. And I'm sure you talk to them as well. They are the rarity. They are the ones. I would rather get to a certain size and be rich a certain way. But it has to only be my way of thinking. That's the automatic comparative differentiation for you. You are in a different league altogether. So I don't have the ability to buy with an intention to sell. This is what Warren Buffett used to say. What is your sell concept? Never. I don't want to sell. This Coca-Cola investment, this Amex investment, hundreds of millions of dollars in annual dividends, which nobody can even replicate anymore. That's my point. We think that far ahead. It's an edge to it.
Then how should someone, not having the edge right now, should start to develop it? What is the ground zero rule to looking at things differently? To open your mind in a way?
Firstly, if you are looking at developing that mindset, you need to develop the very unspoken quality called patience. Running is a great way to build that. Meditation is a great way to do that. Yoga is a great way to do that. You will make incremental progress. It will not be visible daily, or it will be visible in a very small way daily, but the results will show over a period of time. Am I building a startup with making a million deliveries on day 30? Or do I want to corner the deliveries market in Bangalore in 5 years? Completely different way of building. Am I looking to run a marathon next year? Or am I looking to run a marathon under a certain time? Two different goals. Do I want to hold my breath for 1 minute? Or do I want to hold my breath for as long as I can? Two different viewpoints. Then the work based on that begins differently. Nobody comes and says, I want to be the greatest tennis player of all time. I have and want to win 20 Grand Slams. Federer never said that. He just said, I want to be the best I can ever be. And guess what? He changed the landscape. And we have somebody who's doing even better than him. Right? So I want to be, all you have to say is, I want to be better than him. If you need to be better than Federer, you better win 21 Grand Slams. Right? So that's why I'm saying the mindset of how you look at your goal post itself defines how you will go about it. I want to be able to have the best stock picking strategy that I can build versus I want to make 10 million in the next 2 years. That means I'm going to find whatever I can to build wealth quickly, as opposed to building the stock picking strategy, which will earn you wealth over humongous period of time and great amount of wealth as well.
This new episode which came out of Nikhil Kamat's podcast with Ritesh Agarwal. It was a 3 hour long conversation where Ritesh Agarwal focused on these two things which we are discussing right now. When he was asked that why was he the youngest billionaire of India or Asia, his reason was that first he was spiritual since childhood, so he had this in mind that there is some power which is guiding him. He won't lose. He knows his risk-taking appetite automatically increased due to the confidence fixed effect. The second was he actually mentioned it that just a couple of years ago, in his personal bank account, he had just a few lakh rupees. Though he was a unicorn farm, he never did a secondary round. It was the delayed gratification or the marathon mentality we keep. Being a unicorn farmer, he just had a couple of lakhs in his personal account, delaying the gratification till he had a target of reaching an X amount in sales or the metrics. After which he just in a matter of fact of a year, he became, his personal account filled up with crores of rupees. So I think the delayed gratification and keeping spirituality in your daily life keeps you going on for long. Now, if I want to include a certain practice, what are those practices which should I include?
It is incredible that you mentioned this particular podcast because you talk about delayed gratification. How old is Ritesh?
maybe about that.
How old is that old? So it absolutely underscores my point. You can start at 20 and be worth a crazy amount of money at 30 with just that mindset. I'm not saying you will make the same amount of money as Nitesh Agarwal or as Polio, but just see the impact of the delayed gratification from 20 to 30. This is my earlier point as well. You have the energy to execute. Just wait and execute on the journey. Look at the enormity of the success he's achieved. So just to count, or not counter, to add to what you said, this is the journey and look at the level of success that can come. The second thing, to your earlier point, what happens if I get into a medical issue? One of the Kamath brothers had a heart issue, right?
It is true.
Had a stroke. And how old was he? Very young, sir? 42. It's fairly young to have that. They've also accomplished incredible with zero hour. And the amount of scale they've achieved, the number of people they've brought in is incredible. But to your earlier point, is it worth it to have that? Again, like I said, that answer can be only given by the person who's gone through it. So you have points of reference for both. When you get a spiritual mindset, the first thing that comes to you is that you acknowledge that you are only part of the cosmic existence. There is a reason why you did not choose your siblings. You could have been born to anyone. You could have been born to the neighbor or one street away, a different town. But you were born to your parents. There is a reason. And there is a reason why you were born on a certain date, at a certain time. There is a reason why you are where you are today. That is a cycle that you cannot comprehend unless you have a certain amount of spiritual inclination. First and foremost. The second is, there is a certain amount of destiny that has been written for you. Like I said in my earlier podcast, you have to believe in the karmic cycles. You are where you are because of what you've done. It's a combination and a culmination. Where you go, this combination and culmination of everything goes, including everything that's happened. You take all of this into perspective. You realize that you're stuck. Somebody, some power is there. There is a higher power. You cannot fathom the extent of that. Go to that. Try to fathom. Is when you hit that state of nothingness, consciousness, etc. You leave that aside from it. The minute you have that, or the minute you believe that there is some higher power, you have an idea strong enough that you want to pursue. As they say, the universe will conspire in your favor and bend itself to achieve. That's the only thing. So, when you have that kind of a faith, that not that I give everything to you and then you tell me whether I should open my next Oyo or not. That's not how it works. I'm on the path, I'm going to work relentlessly hard towards it. But you are that little light, my guiding light. The chances of failure, and I'm not even talking chances of success, the chances of failure are almost remote. Success is a guarantee. The extent of success is dependent on multiple other factors. but the chances of failure is remote. That guy will not only show you the path, it will also help you take that decision, that next decision, that next decision. And you will come to a crossroad almost at regular points of time. Should I expand? Should I stop? Should I let go? Or should I invest? Spiritual inclination will help you resolve a lot of problems. It will help you take a lot of decisions. It will help you take a lot of advancement. That is what I call the anchor that grounds you. Eventually, when you go back and sleep at night, you need some anchor to tell you that, hey, I'm on the path. It's going well. It is difficult right now. I want to do this, but I'm sure that I'll come out in the right position. I'm on the path. Everything is going phenomenally well, but I'm grounded enough to know that I am guided by a heart. It's not just me. There is somebody else. So it works both in strength and in weakness. It works both in the good and in the bad. The chances of it not helping you is absolutely remote. And that higher power and the belief in the higher power will only grow higher and higher and higher. You're not building anything, you're not growing a career, you're doing anything for them. Short term goal. It's all long term. And just take the case of Mukesh Adani. What is this long term? 30 years old. He's probably 32 or 33 tops. Realistically, he will be around for at least another 50 years. Look at the number of lives he's touched already. This is long term. And this is the delayed gratification we talked about. Within 10 years, you can achieve what most people cannot do in a lifetime. So that is the level to which that little speck of devotion is firmly in your heart. Most people who are wildly successful beyond others' imaginations, you talk to them, they'll say, I'm a small tool. I'm lucky to have got this. I'm lucky to have been able to exploit this talent, be able to achieve it. But it will start with faith. It will start with the belief that you are part of a cosmic existence. As they say, Jahan Vishwas hai, Wahan Vishwanath. Bas. First thing you enter Kashi, they say this. Jahan Vishwas hai, Wahan Vishwanath.
You are bound to succeed.
You are bound to succeed. It is built for you to succeed. There are people who will be absolutely lost, saying, it's not going well. It's not working out. I don't know what's going to happen. And the answer will come to them in the most remarkable ways. A break comes in from a place you cannot even imagine. Jahan Vishwas hai, Wahan Vishwanath hai. Simple. So powerful. And it doesn't have to be just Vishwanath. Ram is the same. You just need to believe that there is a higher power that will guide you. It cannot happen without that spiritual benefit in the manner that I speak of. When you have long-term aspirations, your long-term beliefs, long-term views, spirituality is the start. And so to the second part of it, how do we get to that? Your first introduction to spirituality and faith is through who? Through your parents. Right? At some point, till the age of 5, you obviously did not know what you were doing. Your friends were chosen, people were invited to your birthday parties of people you don't know. Your birthday is being celebrated by everybody else. Right? At some point, you said, okay, I want A, B, C in my party. I want to have this for my birthday. So when you start understanding that you want something, from that point on, there has been some introduction to God, faith, whatever religion you are. Go ask that person, be it father, be it mother, be it grandfather, grandmother, whoever it is. Who is your Ishta Devata? Who is your favorite deity? And they would say, a deity. I will be shocked if one of your parents or anybody in our prior generation said, we don't have anything. I'd be shocked, literally shocked. Well, this is my deity. This is our family deity. This is who we pray to. Let us assume that deity is of admiration to you. Okay? We take two parts. The deities are admiration. Let's say it's Krishna and you and I. Start a simple 5-minute prayer to that deity daily. See where you are in 6 months. Let us say that you are not in tune with that deity. They say Krishna and you like Ram or you like Shiva. Fine. Nobody is saying. Start with that deity. Let's start with one shloka. Let's start with one prayer. I can be proved wrong, and I doubt I will be wrong. You will not be saying one prayer in 6 months. You will be saying at least one more. At least one more. At least one more. That is how faith builds. And it will build in a manner that it's ingrained. And you see where you are in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 7 years. Continuing to do what you're doing. Your faith will also create that, what we talked about in the first book, that bank balance. That is also getting built. Your work is also getting built. The combination is unbeatable. So start with that. If you get extremely inclined towards that form of spirituality, find out practices that you can do. When I go to a temple, one of the most famous Shiva temples in the world is very close to Bangalore, Tiruvannamalai. People just go and walk around the 13-kilometer walk on the Giri. Say that the mountain walls, they draw energy. And people say, I walked that 13 kilometers and all the questions that I had are answered. That is one way. Others say, I read Ramcharitmanas. The problems that Ram faced, incomparable to what I am facing. Others read the Bhagavad Gita. You can read anything. So what happens is the practice will start increasing more and more. And it grounds you further and further. Combine that with your work ethic. And see where you are in 3, 4, 5. So my answer to spirituality is start small. Identify your deity of choice. Start one prayer. Start a practice and grow that practice. You will be guided by what you need to do next. All of these are taught by us. All of these are taught. We have people who come to us and say, I want to focus on breath. We teach you with pranayama. So all of this is possible. The sooner it starts, the greater the impact. The sooner it starts, the more powerful you are. The sooner it starts, the more grounded you are. The sooner you start fulfilling your life. And not saying it has to be only this particular religion. Any religion that you are attuned to, focus. The sooner you get spiritual, the greater you.
Was something I think if people realize it more in large numbers, I think the thing which you were talking about, the if 1% starts editing, I think the impact would be much greater. On that note, we'll end this particular conversation and we'll continue with more and more such parts. So thank you for joining us and any last note which you would like to share.
As always, it's an absolute pleasure to talk about spirituality, and I'm very happy that we're talking about spirituality as it relates to youngsters. Because I am a big believer that they will shoulder and drive our country and civilization forward. I hope that this message gets to people sooner and sooner in their lives. And I hope that at Ananta that we are able to teach and help as many more people. But the opportunity to create this message and to be able to try and reach as many people is always welcome and appreciated. So looking forward to our next set of conversations very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.